Why why don't football players wear glasses
Why?
to contact sport? Thank you.
Where did you find that? Or did you come up with it? Please tell me you came up with it.
Didn't come up with it. Country Living magazine. 300 best dad jokes you haven't heard before. This is part of my pre-episode research. I go on to find some jokes and everything. I wish I came up with that myself. It was very good.
That was very good. I thought you did come up with it. Very funny. That's probably a good way to follow it up after last week. You called West Coast Eagles a joke.
Yeah, I knew it was coming to. As soon as I said that last week, I was like, "Fuck, we're so gonna lose now." I'm never gonna call the joke again.
And I guess after a loss like that, does Ross have to break the glass?
Here at the glass table, we're just like you.
I like to play football, I like to watch football, and I like to talk about football.
Yay! I like to play football, and I like to watch football, and I like to talk about football.
But we do things a little bit differently around here.
That could be a dream, Jared.
Stupid sexy.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the glass table. We're surprisingly here, considering our weekends.
What a horrible, horrible weekend.
There was a borderline of probably there's a lot of things going on in our lives, and it's borderline a decision that could have been made where we didn't show up, and we thought.
I was gonna say, if there was ever a week where we didn't do this episode, it might have been it.
Could have been one, but we conversely in this conversation, well, you can think it happened. It didn't, but you can think it. Just picture it, right?
Yeah.
And we sat here and we said, "Oh, maybe we don't do it because busy lives and things have occurred that are out of our control, like work." And no, we grew a pair of balls and we said we're going to show up. We're not going to take the high road. We're going to take the long, painful, dreadful, dark road of losers.
We're going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Much unlike our football teams on the weekend, which conversely both together did not show up anywhere. And now here we sit, ready to talk footy. But we still like the sport. Sport's still fun. Just this weekend was bad.
There's still 16 other teams we can talk about.
Correct. You're absolutely right.
Football is our passion. It's our love. Sometimes it's something we follow so deeply that the pain is sometimes insufferable, but also it builds character. Sometimes footy is harsh. Sometimes footy is stupid sexy.
Stupid sexy
AFL player.
I was wondering when you were going to get to it.
I was almost like trying to, put the reason without rhyming, but it sort of clicked, and I just, we did it. And I know, we don't want to be dawdling around, so we may as well get straight into it. What was your stupid sexy for round 10?
Tell you what, it was tough this week. I didn't want to.
You're telling me.
I didn't want to just be a cop out and just be like, oh, this team's Indigenous jumper, because we're going to talk about that in a little bit anyway. And like that, I wanted to try and think of something else, even though everything else seemed to suck. But there is one thing that I do love. One thing that I really, really love about football, and there's a mixture of a couple things about it. But for some reason in my head, every time I see this sort of thing happen, it just screams football to me. And first game on Saturday, which we spoke about last week, was going to be one of the games of the round, and it delivered. It was a fantastic game of football between the Pies and the Crows. But my favorite part about this game is the heavens opened up, and there is something about wet weather football at the MCG that itches something in my brain a little bit. Seeing everyone all at once put the ponchos on, and then all of a sudden the ball just get a little bit slippery and you can see it coming through on the camera. And I'm like, oh, footy is back. Footy is so back. And it's taken so long this year to have these weather. Like, the weather's been pretty good, to be honest, for a lot of the football season so far. There's something about wet weather football at the G. And it reminds me of just some classic moments. Mark Murphy kicking a check side in the pocket against the Pies. You know, like these little things that I'm just like, wet weather football at the MCG really, really does something for me. And Saturday afternoon, I was like, absolutely. Thank you very much.
It belongs, doesn't it? Like, I think wet weather footy at the G, and I'm like, Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's just,
I mean, even like the Anzac games we've seen, whatever day they end up being, like they pissed down Zaharakis. Earlier this year.
Fantastic.
I think we were born like joint headed 6 years apart.
Yeah. That was very, very good. But no, yes, I agree.
Yeah, there's a lot of good wet weather games of footy, and they all happen at the G.
And it's fantastic. It feels like wet weather footy. Like, I watch wet weather footy at any other ground, I'm like, oh, what a shit display. But if it's wet weather footy at the G, I'm like, oh, great game of footy. I don't know what it is.
Because I feel like it doesn't rain anywhere else.
Yeah, something about the surrounding, it just adds a lot. But if it was like pissing down right at the SCG, I'd be like, yuck, get it off my screen.
Nah, see, I agree with that. But also, the SCG just looks like it's been pissed on all day.
Oh, it's just a bad ground, just full stop. That's another. I'll tell you what, if we had a reverse stupid sexy, if we had a thing that was the least stupid sexy of the weekend, it's the fucking
What did we call it the other week?
I don't know.
Really ugly or something?
Really ugly.
Stupidly ugly?
Yeah, whatever it was. The SCG surface, horrendous, as it has been all year. Fix it, please.
Just getting into Gabba territories of just redo it.
Gross. It's gross. I don't like it. Anyway, what was your stupid sexy for the week?
I'll go straight to the point. The D's win. I think, I don't know. It was like everyone rode them off. It's one of those games where like the D's have been terrible this year in patches, but they've also been kind of good. So, yeah, for them to go up there, no one gave them a chance, and they were borderline at breaking point, 24 points down. I think they were at one stage, and just kept grinding away. It was a real gutsy win, and to go up to the Lions, go up to the Gabba against the Lions, like full credit. Kudos to them. Like players like Aiden Johnson, who for half a second I didn't know who the hell was. And then when I saw the name, I thought, is that the Collingwood bloke? But then he's so bald.
So bald.
Looks like a
fake AFL 26 player.
I thought he was Nathan Jones for half a second. But no, he was, fantastic, along with, all the other counterparts. And, I just want to give kudos to the Ds. They're just grinding out this year. I think they sort of know that they don't know where they sort of sit, so they'll just take each game as it comes. And they get so much shit in the media, and Clayton Oliver and Petrarca, Cook, and everything else is just, it's nice to see a team like that get kudos and a big win, a gutsy win. So stupid sexy goes to the Ds. And they told the Lions to suck these nuts.
Very good. Did you come up with the punchline first and then make your way back?
Yep. I wrote it down.
Fantastic.
I wrote that down the other day, I think. Yep, yesterday it was. So
I went straight through it. No, fair enough. Something about D's Brisbane games, by the way, that just get a bit weird. Remember that game like 2 years ago or whatever it was, where they kicked like 6 goals in like 6 minutes at the end of the game, and like I think Melksham won it for him at the G. It was like a Friday night. Wild. They have some really, really wild things. But no, I completely agree. We've been pretty accurate over the D's over the last couple of years. Last year we said they weren't going to be very good, and they weren't. This year we said people are underrating them, and they're going to be a little bit better than they are, and they have been, kind of, for like half the year. So like, it's good to see them doing what they can, and also they should be like, they have a very good team still. Like they still have Christian Petrarca, they still have Max Gorn, they still have Stephen May. Like they've got a lot of good footballers, so they should be good. It's just nice to see them. That is a gutsy win. That's one where you go to the end of the year and you look back, you're like, that's the fucking one where you were like, even no matter how they go for the rest, they could finish 15th, but they'll be like, we fucking beat Brisbane at the Gabba, and that's pretty cool.
Well, I agree with that because they did it away. But also, I think it's one of those wins where you sit here and you go, right, you look at, for example, all the teams that are 4-6 and the teams that lost on the weekend that were 4-6. If the Saints won, they're in a better position. If Power won, they would have been in a much better position. The Swans got their win to get to the 4-6 mark. Carlton lost a game that you probably sit there and go, should have won. So the D's are like, they're only a game out of the 8, being 4-6, which is
There's a lot of bad teams going around right now. There's a lot of really, really shit football teams.
I heard someone, I can't remember who was in commentary, but they said, they were like, all right, so we've got Collingwood, Brisbane, Gold Coast, Hawthorn, and the Dogs sitting in the top 5, and then there's sort of a drop-off. And I'm like, there is a big drop-off.
Yeah, it's not just like a slight drop-off. Like, the gap between the, like, Saints, Port, Blues, Essendon kind of range, Sydney kind of range, that little bit there, compared to your fucking Dogs, Pies, Lions, Cats, like that next range is fucking astronomical. This is going to be one of those years where, like, I remember, like, the Bombers scraping into the 8 and having to go and play the Swans at the SCG, and not a single person in the entire world gave them a chance in the final, and they got beat by fucking 12 goals. It's going to be one of those where whoever gets into 8th or 7th is going to be like, fuck, we're going to get smashed.
Genuinely like that, though, because I'll sit here, I'll read the ladder out very quickly.
Yep.
Pies, Lions, Suns, Hawks, Dogs, Crows, Cats, Giants. That's your 8, right? Then you got Freo.
I don't think the Giants are at that bit there. Either.
What are the Giants?
Don't know. Nothing.
Fantastic. Freo, Dons, Blues, Swans, Saints, Melbourne,
that
Port.
Bit there. Yeah.
And then the Tigers were only 4 points away from being also 4-6. Yep. North, and then the Eagles. We have completed the Circle of Life.
Parity. Yep.
I don't know why I called it the Circle of Life. Parody was right there, and I've got life. I've become the Lion King. Yeah, everything's been ticked off now. Like it's. I look at the 4-6 teams, and I go, any one of you on any of your day is the best team in the comp.
Any of the other ones. Yeah, could beat any of the other teams. Yeah, going around. Exactly. The longer time goes on, the weirder the Saints beating the Cats at Marvel gets. And like the longer time goes on, Port smashing the Hawks at Adelaide Oval gets. Like all these things are so weird. And like you said, it's such a clear top 6, 7, and then such a clear just shit middle teams that someone is going to scrape into the 8 and get pummeled. Like someone is going to get in there and get absolutely belted, and then it's like Richmond, North, West Coast. Then there's the rest.
I agree with that because I generally have. It's normally 10 rounds in. You're like, right, you can sort of figure out your bottom 6. Yeah. Figure out your middle 6, and you know your tops.
Yeah.
Your tops. Like last year, we sort of had that run of where the top 8 teams were like, you had no idea who's going to be.
That was literally what I was going to say. Last year's top 8, you could put any of them. Like Brisbane came from 5th, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, like you could any of those teams in the 8 could have necessarily gone on to win the whole thing. This year, I'm like, if you finish 8th or 7th, you're not fucking getting close. Like you are not even gonna put in a.
But then again, it's like if you sit here and you go the top 8 right now, and the 8th team is the Giants on their day.
Probably good. Yeah.
They're playing the Dogs at Marvel maybe as a final or the MCG.
They're better at the G, the Giants, so they probably prefer it at the G.
All right, then you got the Cats and the Crows playing at the Adelaide Oval. You have the Pies versus the Hawks. Good luck getting a ticket, and then you have a Q clash for a final at the Gabba.
It is bizarre.
Do you reckon in this? Oh, I don't know why this is so funny. Do you reckon if the Suns make the 8, they request their final to be in Darwin?
That's one of those things where I couldn't even imagine the Suns hosting a final anywhere. Like imagine we have to go to Gold Coast in the first round. What do you fucking mean go to Gold Coast in the first round of finals? It's just bizarre. Them hosting a final at all is so funny. But yes, they should definitely go to Darwin because they are an incredible football team in Darwin.
Yeah, right. This is what is incredible. They have only played in the first 10 rounds 2 games At people first. It happened again. On my end, that was the same time.
Yeah, and on my end, Zara at the same time. Yeah, just bizarre. Just some insane stats from the Suns. But yeah, good on them. They're doing what they can.
And then they only play, right, another 2 games until round 16 at people first.
So strange. Those 2 Darwin games in a row. To be fair, the 2 Darwin games are a massive advantage. Like, that's a huge advantage. Not only in the fact of, like, they know how to play it, but teams are actively resting players against them, being like, I don't want to send them to Darwin. That's not a thing that I want to do.
Hawks nearly got it, though.
Yeah, and they nearly did it. Like, we've seen this year with Collingwood, resting players and still winning. But it's one of those things where it's just such a massive advantage every year. So it kind of makes sense that they don't get to play that many games at home.
I know. Yeah, well, to be fair, though, their back end, looking at it now, from round 18 to round 24, because of that first game against the Dons that didn't get played because of the cyclone, so they basically have, the extra one.
They get the extra people first game, which is fair.
Very interesting. That very, very, very interesting.
Yeah, bizarre from the Gold Coast Suns, but they're good at football, and that's all that matters.
Noah Anderson really enjoys playing in Darwin too.
Noah Anderson's just a good footballer. That's the basis of it all. Noah Anderson is fantastic at football.
He is very, very good at football. Obviously on the weekend, everyone who did play well looked really good because they were wearing Indigenous guernseys.
Oh yes, we had some incredible Indigenous. This might be my favorite league-wide year. I think there isn't really any that I don't like. I think I'm okay with, like, at least okay with all of them, if not liking most of them. So I'm all right with it. I'm pretty happy with how they look, and they look fantastic.
I think the good thing about Indigenous round and Sir Doug Nicholls round is the design is from a good place. Like it's not just a creative team sitting in marketing going, right, well, we could do this.
Yeah.
Or we could draw up that and maybe we do this. No. This is done by people that are representatives of the club or, past legends and players like Gavin Wanganeen, even current players like Naz. They do a great job. And, we thought we'd come up with our top 3 favourite. And this isn't to say we hate the others. It's just what I thoroughly enjoyed looking at on the weekend when things were happening.
When football was happening.
Football was being playing.
Teams were losing, teams were winning. All
doing their things. So what would be 3?
My 3, this is no particular order here, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't have an order.
Just because I just these are just the 3 that sort of stand out to me. The Giants, who always make fantastic jumpers, looked beautiful, had the main white as well, which was just fantastic. The Hawks one, which I saw some people not loving. I liked the Hawks one. I thought it was fantastic. I like when a team has a bird, I think the teams that have the birds on the front, I liked a lot more than I liked the other ones. That was a good one. And speaking of fucking birds, the crows. I really like the crows one. The red one specifically, I think is really, really nice. And yeah, that was my 3. So I think I'm a fan of when they put a bird on the front, which is good. And then the Giants one's just nice. So that's my 3.
I think that the cheat code to a Indigenous Guernsey is a bird.
Put a bird on the front.
Ridiculous. My 3, I have one bird. The Crows had a good Guernsey. I really like the Cats. I like when teams sort of get creative with what they have, or the person designing. They get creative. They utilize the full Guernsey. And they don't necessarily stick to the colours. So the Cats had a bit of red in there, and I think that helped stand out, and I think that's very, very good. And lastly is the Freo Guernsey. What I love is the simplicity of it and the fact it still represents their colours.
Yeah, and it was also a retro jumper at the same time by going the red and green. And they covered a lot of area, Freo. They were knocking on the door of my 3 for sure, but I thought that was fantastic. I also agree with the Cats one. I think the Cats one I liked more in the marketing photos, not as much on the field. Still
but
really good though.
When Brad Close is walking out with his long sleeve, and I don't know what it is, but that man wears a long sleeve. I know a lot, but when he wears, well, he not only wears it better than most, but when he wears like the special designs like Anzac guernseys or Indigenous Australian retro.
When they had the collar. Oh,
Brad, get close to me.
Silly Brad. That was that's a banger. I also loved. It was also very not Geelong. Geelong are very like traditional in a sense where they don't really go away from the hoops very often. They stay very, we are blue and white hoops and that's it. Even when they do a retro jumper, they just put a collar on it and it's basically the same thing. And they never really wear like a clash jumper. It's always kind of the same. They'll just change the shorts. So I liked they added a new color because that is rare for them. They never do that. And so I was like, you know what, Geelong? Well done for jumping out the box a little bit more.
You think they should just any team, and this steers away a little bit from Sir Doug Nicholls around, but just bring back a collar in general?
Yeah, I think a collar should just be a
I wonder why they got rid of it.
Probably gets annoying, I suppose.
Well, you could tell the cool kids, couldn't you? They just walk in.
Walking in, collars popped.
Collars up.
Yeah, absolutely. Whenever you go, used to keep
Bailey Smith is such a collar popper.
Oh, he would be. He absolutely would be. He'd just walk in and just bit of
I reckon Toby Green back in his day was a
definitely. I think of like all the small forwards. I think it's just because I've seen Jack Higgins do it so many times. I'm like anyone that's like a small forward, I can just imagine
Jack Higgins, serial collar popper,
but does it well, you know.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bailey Smith, I saw him at the airport on Friday, and I've never seen more people get a photo with a man. he was struggling. Like he would walk, and he had like other teammates around him that were getting no love, and it was just like he'd walk 2 steps, photo with Baz, walk another 2 steps, photo with Baz. They were boarding, and he's like, guys, like seriously, I gotta get in there.
They couldn't hold him up just a tad longer, so he missed his flight. You think that would have been like any sort of general consensus?
Consensus to be like,
maybe hack his shin,
hold him back, just stick a boot out, let it go.
Trip over, enjoy your trip. Not the one you're supposed to fly on.
Now I know, you've spoken about in your review and everything like that, but obviously the result on the weekend wasn't fantastic Port wise. Is there anything you want to add to what you've already said about Port Adelaide so far?
I don't know. Like it's more of a. I got to watch the second half, and I wish I didn't because I knew what was going to happen. Like I could tell, and I sort of knew going out of halftime we were 9 points down, and I was like, all right, well, it's been a sloppy game. This game's going to open up, and Ken Hinkley came out and said we're going to slow the game down. It wasn't that, but it fueled the knowledge I already had of it's the same position we were in sort of against the Pies, same position we were in against
the Dogs.
The Dogs. We're in a position where we could be, vulnerable, but also a position where we can attack and actually hit it hard. And I guess from my point of view is the fact that you can see it happening. Like everyone outside of Port Adelaide can sit there and go, oh shit, Port got smashed. That's either you like Port or you don't like Port. You're going to get differential opinions on it. But as a Port fan, I know many Port fans that either follow the channel or speak to personally. They're just going to go, deep breath. We knew it was going to happen. I don't know what's going on with that football club. It generally looks like we are out there for a paycheck and are happy to walk off losing by 76 points.
Yeah.
We're not Port are done. Like, if there's ever a team in that 4 and 6 list that are not making finals, you can write off Port Adelaide. They're not making it. There is not a response anymore. We always talk about, Port will respond. Nearly got it against the Crows, but didn't get the win. So they've come in this week and gone, right.
It's like they had
grind it out.
We tried and we didn't even win when we tried, so we're just not going to try anymore, kind of thing. That's like kind of what it feels like.
And now we lost horne-francis for a month with a hamstring.
Yeah, well, as we were saying that as well, this is bad for us in terms of we lost, but also you lost horne-francis for a month. Jack McRae has just punctured his lung. So both of our teams had a big loss, and then our star midfielders have just been fucking smashed. So less than ideal weeks, but Yeah, like I saw a little bit of the Port game, and Port especially this year, like like you said, sort of with the Pies, sort of the Dogs game, when they get a couple of goals against them, barring the Adelaide game, like they just have struggled to they like go into their shell rather than like trying to fight back. They just go like, oh, please don't hurt us too bad, and they kind of just let it roll over them, which is just not the way to go about it. You're looking at what Essendon's doing right now. And it's the same thing. It's just fucking getting rolled over. Like when Essendon lose, they lose bad. And at least Port have had like, tight, like, the like we said, the showdown where it was like, you still fought kind of thing. Whereas you look at other teams, it's like they didn't even try.
It's hard to gauge exactly what we're trying to do. I think with a few other teams, you can see. You use Essendon as an example, use Melbourne as an example, even the Saints. Like, I think you sort of knew where they stood before this season was going to start, and you can talk them up and give them like positive affirmations and confidence, and they gain that from close wins. And we know Essendon have won close games against average opponents, but even North, they've been punished and pumped, but they've also been in tight contests. They won on the weekend. It's one of those things where with Port Adelaide, you sit there and go, I have genuinely no idea what this team's going to do this week. Where there is a genuine possibility in my soft, beautiful little heart that sits in my chest that has to ride every fucking second with this club. Just somehow sits here and goes, I know we got pumped by 76 and 90 and two out of the past 3 weeks and lost to the showdown. Some reason there's a galvanising trip to the Perth Stadium at Optus and we're going to beat Freo.
I don't hate it. I don't hate that. I don't hate that thought at all.
And they've just come off a great win against the Giants at Energy Stadium that you
Yep.
predicted that I hate even more.
I was so happy about that. I told you Freo are not that bad. However, now that I've said that, they are now going to go and lose in Perth. But that's fine. I got that one right, and that's all that matters.
How are you coping?
Yeah, it was tough. That was a really, really tough result to swallow.
Mm-hmm.
As a fan, like
You see it was coming.
Yeah, like I've never seen a more like universal fan base be like, "Fuck, we're gonna lose this game," and then like they kick the first two, and I looked over at the guy I'm working with, and we just like shook our heads. We were like, "Oh no, this is going exactly how the script was written out, basically." And then obviously the final siren goes. We knew the result well for the final siren, but the moment that siren went was like one of the worst I've felt as a Saints fan in like 10 years, maybe, like a long time. That's the worst loss in a really, really long. Like we've been belted before, and like they suck, obviously losing by a lot, but that one was like, oh man, because it was like everything that had built up over the last however many weeks. Like we didn't play that bad against Carlton, so it was like, okay, like maybe we're still going to be fine. Kind of thing. Obviously, we had that good win against Freo, but we'd been belted around the park by the Dogs in Brisbane, but they're very good. But for some reason, it was just like, oh, this is going to suck. And then, hearing the noise, like at the time, I was like, holy fuck, this is really, really rough. And then I had to get on a plane and come home. So that was really fun. That was a really fun time. Let me stew on my thoughts and watch Transformers, which helped a little bit. But I was able to sort of feel better. But this is one of those days where I will not be looking at the comments or anything like that. I actually saw a post that was very, very funny from Cinch Footy, and it was like, nothing hits harder than when a team's social media just posts FT after a game. And I saw the Paul one there, saw our one, and I was like, oh, I know. Because it's one of those ones where you just post it and just shut the laptop and go, okay, let's go to the airport. I'm not doing this anymore. We're really rough. We're like 4 players that played well.
Rowan Marshall
was incredible.
Generally, I don't keep I keep a tab on who's doing well in losses and stuff like that. We've seen a lot of 30s and 3s and going at big key forwards kicking goals. But as a ruckman, the man's shoulders, I hope, were iced after the game. And Tyler, if you're watching, I hope they were. Because that man better have had his own row on the plane. The exit row, just first class, sitting with leg room for those legs, making sure that everything is cool, calm, and collected with him. Because that man put in a performance. It could have been played on a Friday night. I don't care. That
was incredible.
I know my fantasy team didn't win, and I was no hope going into Brisbane, Melbourne. Just had a feeling. I was like, Roro's going to put something in for me, and I came within. I was so far back, but I was like the 50 to 1 odd dog coming from nowhere, storming through, and almost pipped into the line.
Yeah, he was. I said it pre-game. Like, I think I said it that morning. I was like, I have a feeling Rowan's going to have a fucking unbelievable game, and he did. Like, he was unbelievable. And from like the very start of the game too, he took this big contested mark in the back 50, and I was like, yeah, right. I was like, yeah, he's on here. He's on for a big day, and he was. And he had like 80 something super coach at quarter time. He was taking the piss. And then he was fantastic. Got a goal in the last quarter, which was nice to see. The game was over, but he got a goal that kind of was nice to add to his stats because it was like, you deserve that, Rowan. But like, he was good. Jack Sinclair had 38 touches, which goes so like it's so close to his career high. But no one's ever going to talk about it because we lost. And then of course Jack Higgins, who now last year, right? I was very steadfast on Rowan Marshall should be considered for the All-Australian selection, and I swear to God, right? If Jack Higgins is not in contention towards the back end of the year, I will lose my mind.
I was kind of hoping you were going to throw in, or you were going to dye your hair blonde.
No, I'm not dyeing my hair blonde because I know
shave your
what
head.
The Australian team does to small forwards, and they don't treat them very nicely. I was there for the Dan Butler 2020 year. I know what they do to small forwards, so I'm not going to say anything about it. But I'm just saying right now, you look what Jack Higgins is doing. He's playing incredible football, and it's going very under the radar. For a team that doesn't kick a lot of goals in St Kilda, he fucking dominates.
So, with all of that, I think I wanted to ask the question because I know people out there have coping mechanisms for times where they're a bit rough. And I know your team losing. You're an Essendon fan, Tigers fan, Port fan, Saints fan, Blues fan. Anyone that's really feeling the pain of losing this year, and I just really want to know how do you cope? Because they're normally a pretty good home and away sort of person, Port are really good in the home and away. They're not good anymore. I don't know what to do. So what calms you after a loss, JT?
Well, this week it was Transformers. Thank you, Megan Fox, so much, because without Megan Fox, I don't know where I'd be. I don't know if anything really calms me ever. But I just over celebrate the wins. Every time we win, I treat it like it's the greatest thing that's ever happened. But coping with home and away losses is tough.
Do you ever get into a point where it's like you're doing something else and you've actually forgotten about it, and for some unknown reason, the thought comes back into your head, and it's like, oh fuck, like. On Saturday night, I was at the footy club and I'm sitting there and I'm like, all right, I'm actually having a pretty good night. I'm happy, enjoying myself. And my mate out of nowhere just says, hold that, and shows me the score. So why do you do that?
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Why?
Yeah.
I've just indulged in one of the greatest sets you'll ever see by a beginner DJ. And you decided to come up and show me that remix I didn't want to see.
It's bad. I would like to know other people's way of coping because I don't think I really have one necessarily. I mean, as a Saints fan, there's been a lot of poor home and away seasons. So I think I'm just kind of letting it. Yeah, I'm just.
You're built. Your character defining.
I'm built for this. I'm
Yeah.
built for these kinds of losses. So I don't really have an answer for you in terms of how I cope with it. But this weekend, I can tell you, Transformers 2007, Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, Optimus Prime doing incredible things.
Is it funny that you watched the Transformers and you watched Optimus Prime and Optimus was Optus Prime on Sunday night for the Eagles?
I actually think that was my moment of, I remembered it because I had the subtitles on and he goes, I am Optimus Prime. And I went, hang the fuck on. So,
I am Optimus Prime. And it's just Jake Waterman.
I just fucking left Optus. Yeah, it was tough. One thing, right? And this is very funny to me. I have like a notes app of like things that I write down through the weekend that I want to talk about. And the first thing I wrote in my notes was a Perth related thing, not even a footy related thing. I just want to give a shout out to the people of Fremantle because the Gage Road Brewery that I went to on Saturday have this beer called Airtime. I've never heard of it before, and it's like it's good drinks and good drinks produce this thing called Airtime, and I was like, yeah, it looks pretty good. I have some. It might be the greatest beer I've ever had in my entire life. I had it and I was like, oh boy, this is dangerous. I'm glad they don't sell it in bulk near me because boy, oh boy, was it good. So just a shout out to the people of Freo because all I wrote in my notes here was Airtime beer amazing -Freo.
You hated losing. I know it happened before, but you hated losing to West Coast that much that you went to Freo to have a beer.
Fremantle was just so good. Fremantle was fantastic.
Well, if you want to sponsor us and send us a carton each.
So good. It was so good. I couldn't explain it.
We should get a beer to sponsor us.
This one, please.
I don't have any, but Carlton Dry would be lovely.
Oh yeah, for the people that are listening, it was Carlton Dry that I set up.
It also is a coping mechanism to calm me down after a loss.
That's how I deal with home and away losses.
Drink responsibly, but also
it helps.
A couple. Or start a YouTube channel.
That works too.
Yeah, sit there for 10 minutes.
Reviews and let everyone just scream at each other in the comments.
Oh, that's fantastic. Someone told me. One told me. They were like, well, at least you're going to get a good draft pick. And they're not. They're surface level footy fans. And I just know that we're not because we traded that to Gold Coast as part of the deal with Lukosius, Richards, and Atkins, who can't even get a game, even though he's racking up touches left, right, and centre.
Mm.
Do you know what's even funnier is the fact that I'm going to sit here and go, changes this week. Horne-Francis, out. Lachie Jones, out. In. Travis Boak, 37 years old. Rory Atkins, 32 years old.
Your list is somehow getting older, and there's no draft pick to come.
Yep.
Ours doing the opposite. We're getting rid of Jack McRae, the oldest guy on our list. And we're probably going to bring in Hugh Boxall, who's like 18.
I'm glad the box is back.
I don't know if he's going to play. Actually, it'll probably be Zach Jones. Zach Jones had 30-3 last week in the VFL, and he had 38 this weekend in the VFL. Oh, boy.
I love VFL blokes who just towel up.
Just fucking towel it up and then become the sub on a Sunday.
Oh, yeah. Well, speaking of, we might as well do the tips.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think there's anything else to talk about.
Footy was bad this week.
Actually, speaking of like West Coast and St Kilda, shout out to Oscar Allen.
Oh, yes.
And the handling. I know Adam Selwood, unfortunate to hear the news and everything like that. And the footy world's obviously been rocked. So I don't want to, we both don't want to feed the assumption of it all. It is a terrible loss. It's sad for the Selwood family. It's obviously second brother they've lost. But I will say that Oscar Allen and the handling of the whole weekend, like Craig McRae on Saturday with his presser.
Cam Mooney at Fox Footy at like halftime on the boundary line.
Yeah, I think just the whole handling of the situation, and you can't really get a grip of when news like this breaks. So I think how amazing it was, and I know for your sake, obviously you wanted the Saints to win, but in a broader prospect, seeing the Eagles win in a week where they lost a legend of their footy club, lost a player that you and I grew up watching.
Yep.
It's a pretty hard time. So Oscar Allen's post-match not press conference, interview. And I thought Kath was awesome too. Like, she's one of the best. Like, she's very underrated in her work, and I think that she deserves some kudos there too. But well done, Oscar. Like, he's had a shit time too. Like, all the stuff with the meeting with Sam Mitchell and just the whole is he going? Is he staying? The captain of the footy club. Your team hasn't won a single game. Fans brewing down your neck to come out, put in a performance. He played very well too.
Yep.
Deserves acknowledgement of it all.
Yeah, him and the whole team. Like, it would not have been easy. There was only one player on the team that was coached directly by him. That was Jamie Cripps. And then Jamie Cripps kicked an incredible goal in the first quarter, and I was like, that's special. That's a really special moment. Crowd got around him. Players got around him. They cut to him in like the pre-game moment as well. And like, just being involved at West Coast would have been so tough. So for the fact that they were able to go out and play as they did and do it for him. And like you said, it's regardless of the circumstance, regardless of how it all happens, losing a player, losing a well-loved and well-respected figure is so heartbreaking. And like, I was at Optus Stadium when the news broke. That was like, felt the air getting sucked out of the stadium just about. It's a horrible loss, but for West Coast to go out there and do what they did, it just felt right, like it felt when that siren went, and like, I said, when the noise, like I said about this before the recording, but the noise that the Optus Stadium made when the siren went, it felt like not just the last 10 weeks of pain, not just the last 3-4 years of pain, but the last especially sort of 24 hours that they'd gone through as well. It just felt like everything culminated into this really special moment. And then, Oscar Allen spoke brilliantly. Kath Lachlan was amazing on the day, and then also and the shows and stuff the night before. Just, amazing all around from everybody based in Perth.
Shows at the end of the day, we can sit here and sulk, whinge, complain, and be manipulated in our moods by how our footy team performs. But at the end of the day, as fans, we show up every single week. We do our part. And the footy family, when it becomes tough or there's a controversy or any sort of loss or unfortunate event, there's nothing else like it.
Brings people together. And it's very, very special. And that's the thing that footy is never going to be taken away from. It's always fantastic.
Exactly.
Well played, everybody.
All right. Let's get angry at some tips.
On last week's tips as well. I don't think we did very great.
I did 4.
You
got 5.
There we go. I got 5. So that's, not fantastic at all. I did say last week that it was Port's last chance, and fucking sure enough. So that's great.
Yeah.
But a few big losses. My Sunday was not good for tipping. And everyone just kind of rolled through. But I don't think there was anyone that really dominated. There's a lot of 6s and a lot of 5s. I don't think there was anything above a 6 in our league at all.
The joke I wanted to, but anyway.
No one in our tipping competition is above a 6, except for us two.
That's not going to be handled well, but anyway. 6s is how many I get for points every time I kick a goal.
And you kick a few of them.
5s is the high that I give when, I do kick him. That's so shit. That's not the joke, everyone. Just letting you know.
That's fantastic.
I got 4. I've never been given a 4. Normally I'm a 9 or a 10.
There it is.
9 plus 10 equals 11.
What?
round 11. Anyway, let's kick things off. Obviously, no one really much to shout out or anything because we all suck at tipping this week. But we'll start with our round 11 tips. And we've got Thursday night at GMHBA. Probably the game of the round. We're getting on Thursday night. Cats and the Dogs. Revenge of Kitty Galore.
Classic.
Kitty's back.
A beautiful joke that has lasted 3 years of GT recordings. Cats and Dogs, Revenge of Kitty Galore. And this one is good. This one should be a really, really good game, and I'm very excited about it.
I've been skeptical on the Cats, and last week I tipped Port purely because I felt like they were vulnerable. But I think now, because they've got that win, and now they've got a string of those GMHBA games. I know the Giants have their fortress, but I don't believe in they're gettable at the category unless you're a Giants player. So I think the Cats will win this. How many times have you seen teams come off a big pumping win and then not back it up?
Yeah, that's true. Obviously not a massive break for either team. They both played on the Saturday. So that kind of like cancels out a little bit. The Dogs might get Treloar back, which is pretty okay-ish. I think I'm going to go the Cats as well. I really, really rate the Dogs. Like, I think they're fantastic. But there's just something about Geelong at home. And it's entering, like we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, it's entering that point of the year where Geelong just do those wins at home.
And footy sucks.
And footy sucks. Footy sucks, and Geelong get a bunch of games at GMHBA, and they win most of them. So I will give this one to the Cats. I'm going to go by 9 points.
Yeah, I'm tipping the Cats by 11.
Yeah.
Ooh. Richmond, Essendon. Dreamtime.
Friday night Dreamtime.
Out. Hear me out.
Yep.
Tigers.
Yep.
Consideration?
I'm tipping them.
Oh,
not even a consideration. I am outwardly.
No Tom Lynch.
Outwardly, I'm tipping the Tigers. It's happening.
God, that is a big call.
I do not rate the Essendon Bombers one bit. There's not a single part of me that rates them.
I'm tipping the Dons. I think they're not like they're not going to do damage this year, but they beat the Tigers.
There we go.
But I hope I'm right because then I gain one on you. Carlton versus Giants. I actually have
a couple interesting ones here.
no fucking idea. The Giants are bordering I don't care territory at the moment.
Yeah.
This game also starts at 12:05.
Marvel.
I know they lost. I know it was tough. Talking about the Blues. I'm tipping the Giants.
I'm going to go the Blues in this one.
Just, yeah, sure. Why
not? This one's hard, though. Like, that's a very hard one. There's a lot of tough tips.
Speaking of hard.
A lot of tough tips this week. That one is a genuine coin flip. Blues,
Speaking of hard, this tip is very interesting. Do you know what's weird? It's like we do stupid sexy at the start and it's sort of get freaky at the end. Let me reverse it back. Anywho. Yeah, Hawks get a few back this week. The Lions are very vulnerable, but also they somehow
still good.
Yeah, I don't think that the D's winning hurts them too much.
No.
But I will tip the Hawks at the G.
Yeah, I'll go the Hawks as well. let me just do a quick weather check. I think if it's wet weather footy, the Lions will maybe win. If it's pretty dry, Hawks will win. It is meant to be relatively rainy, most likely during the morning. Might be okay by the time the game comes. I'll go the Hawks, but wouldn't be surprised if the Lions just kill them.
North v Collingwood at Marvel Pies.
It's going to be the Pies, but I'm not going to use my lock because Pies at Marvel are really weird. We saw this last year, that North Collingwood Marvel one, where they're up by 50 points at halftime and the Pies just brought their way back into it. So I'll still tip the Pies, but
last year.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be surprised if North at least play okay. I don't know. Like, North won't get killed. They might lose by a bit, but not like 100.
Quite frankly, I won't be watching this game because Port played the Dockers after it.
Yep.
And quite frankly, I couldn't give two shits about either of them. So, and Collingwood are winning the premiership, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, fair enough.
Freo Port.
Said last week, the Port's last chance to show me they can win games was last week, and they not only didn't win, they got thumped. And we saw what I said about Freo last week. I will tip Freo and they'll lose now, but I'm going to tip Freo in Optus. And just seeing if Ken's Port still has any life, this is the week for it.
You know what? It's my week this week. I have a feeling. I've got the fullness in my heart.
Yep.
The joy and optimism. Tipping Freo.
I just knew it was coming. You're like, I got a feeling. I got the optimism. Freo by 20.
Well, it's opposite, you know? Maybe it's my week where
Reverse
I just
psychology. Reverse psychology. Yeah, I like
I'm happy to sacrifice a tip.
it. I like it. It's good.
There is absolutely no way in hell, any chance whatsoever, that Port win this game. Not a single hope.
Yep. I like it.
Bogey's back, though, you know. Probably full-time midfield.
He might have 35.
Bogue's got a ball on a string. Crows, Eagles. Crows by 400, and I'm locking it. And you're touching yourself.
Yep.
Okay. Touching yourself over the Crows with a lock. Interesting tactic. Whatever floats your boat, my brother. Ooh.
Little tasty, interesting match on a Sunday afternoon.
Hello, darling. Welcome to the program.
Don't hate it. Don't hate it at all.
You know what?
You're on the D's train.
I'm tipping a draw.
I don't think you can do that on the AFL app.
I can't, so I'll probably tip the Swans. But...
You just got to have a feeling. I'm going to tip the Swans as well, but could be a very good game.
I like it, but the D's always find a way to lose these types of matches.
Yeah, I was going to
say,
have
the big win.
Like these ones. They don't like winning them. So, yeah, Swannies.
And the last one is the Saints Suns at Marvel. Go Suns. Go Suns. I'm sorry, but like you with Port, I've lost all faith in your mob.
Yep, I'm going to tip the Suns as well, to be honest.
Can you even do that?
Yes, I can. I tip the Suns too.
That's going to be a fun day at the office, isn't it?
Let's just remember. I was going to say, right, I'm thrilled to drive into Marvel Stadium on Sunday and park my car in the car. Let me paint a picture for you. I'm going to be driving into Marvel Stadium. I'm going to go in the little car park, take a right, go down towards the change rooms, park my car. Spend the first couple of hours getting excited, being maybe it's our chance. Maybe this is the way to go. And I get out in the field and 12,500 Saints fans have packed a quarter of Marvel. And we just play okay, you know? I don't think we get smashed. I don't think that's the thing. Firstly, Suns can't play at Marvel. Secondly, Dimmer fucking hates Marvel. Third, we are not as bad as that West Coast game makes us out to be. We're not good.
Maybe this will be like one of those ones where the Suns absolutely hate Marvel and it absolutely sucks, but they beat you after the siren like they do with the Dons.
Don't even. That would rip me to shreds. That would tear me down.
It's going to be a fun phone call on the way home Sunday night, isn't it?
I'm tipping the Suns anyway.
How you feeling? Shit. Beep. Start again. All right. Well, that's our tips for this week, round 11. And just quickly before we finish up, it's our favourite segment that we love now because we did it once and, it's enjoyable.
Yep.
Stupid setting. Sorry, let me start that again.
Go again.
I had a stupid stroke, apparently. Stupid sexy aesthetics for round 11.
Yes.
Cats, dogs. Aesthetically pleasing for the name, the colours. Bleh.
Yep, and also they're going to be wearing their Certain Equals Indigenous round jumpers, and the cats look like the dogs because they have a little red thing on there.
All right, let's cancel that one. Start again.
Literally horrible.
Don's Richmond Dreamtime will look extra special because it's that, but it's pretty good. Black might count each other out,
but the red and the yellow is nice always.
On the ground, it'll look fantastic. Blues Giants. Well, considering the majority of it will be blue, and you'll have a little patch of orange, it'll kind of look like a power button on a TV. You know how it's all that, and it's just one little light.
Yeah.
Pleasing though. Hawks, Lions. Ooh.
I don't think so.
No.
Lions have got a lot of yellow on their new jumper and stuff. And they kind of it tends to stand out most of the yellow, so I don't think it's going to look very good.
North Pies. That's a thumbs up of approval.
The North Blue is very bright. They got a really bright blue on their jumpers, and it's going to go very nicely against the black.
Freo Port. Well, there won't be enough Port fans to consider it.
Even still, purple and then mainly black for the Port. Not ideal.
Plus, we'll be wearing our white Guernsey for the Indigenous.
That'll look okay. The jumper will look okay. On field, will look all right.
Crows, Eagles. I don't think you'll tell.
No.
Maybe the yellow will stand out a bit more, and the navy will be. D's, Swans.
A lot of red.
The Swans red is. This is round shit.
Yeah, and then look at the last one. Too much red.
Suns.
Yep.
We need new colours.
It was so beautiful.
Yeah, last week's so beautiful, and this week's so shit.
Yeah, it's probably 3 games. Bombers, Tigers, Blues.
I'm not excited about any of them.
North Pies. North Pies, actually, that's a good one.
I can't wait. You know what's the most aesthetically pleasing looking matchup? It's the Port and the Bye.
I'm so excited for that game.
Can't wait. It's going to be thrilling.
You just opened
Set to thrill.
You just opened it. I was about to say.
No, let's throw it back 3 years again, shall we?
The matchup between Daniel Pearce and no one is set to thrill.
Yeah. This time it'll be Rory Atkins and no one.
I was literally about to ask, who do you think is the player that would be that, the matchup between this and the Bye?
Jeremy Finlayson.
Yeah, classic. Josh Sin.
No, out.
Isn't he back this week? It was a test? I think
No.
it was a test.
Oh, well, get a hip replacement. Don't play.
Who else? Who else is playing in that team right now?
Well, hang on a second. No. Well, hang
playing?
Yeah. But why? Hang on a second. Why don't you throw your boys under the... Why do I have to sit here and take... Why don't you have a sequel?
Port Adelaide versus the Bye, not St Kilda versus the Bye.
Well, West Coast had the Bye and they set the thrill on the weekend, didn't they? Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later.